When you first enter Mr. Petrizzi's AP/BC calculus class, you think you reached the pinnacle of Newton South's math curriculum. Even the syllabus is no joke. You'll be bamboozled by the demands that Mr. Petrizzi has listed, such as no fringes on your homework, because, God forbid, your homework looks like it's been through both world wars. You look around the room and see 40 or so desks and go, man, I can't believe I'm going to be stuck with all these people for the rest of the year. Well, don't worry, because about 30% of the class is going to drop down to AB after the first test, and thus begins the start of your AP/BC calculus journey. Chapter 3. Derivatives. After the first test, where you've been thoroughly humbled, you finally get to start learning everyone's favorite topic, derivatives. Derivatives are basically slope, but fancy. Here, you get to find the slope of the tangent line to a curve at a certain point. If you come out of the Chapter 3 test thinking, that was so light, you better buckle in, because up next is Chapter 4, Application of Derivatives. The hardest part of this chapter is optimization and related rates. Optimization is just using derivatives to find the maximum or minimum of something. It's where you'll learn how to maximize and minimize profit, which is what Harvard students learn after spending $7,000 on their economics course. So, in a few years, when you're vibing in your penthouse on Billionaire's Row, consider sending Mr. Petrizzi a couple $1,000s. You probably don't need it anyways. Related rates is where you meet the infamous shadow man. No one knows who he is. All we know is the rate at which his shadow is increasing or decreasing. Chapter 5. The definite integral. Definite integrals are just finding the area under a curve from one point to another. Sometimes you'll use rectangles, sometimes you'll use trapezoids, and other times you'll use Simpsons. We're still figuring that one out. You'll also learn the proof for the fundamental theorem of calculus, and immediately forget it the second you step out of class. But you can use it to scare the AB kids by writing it on their whiteboard. By the middle of the year, you've started getting the hang of things, and different groups separate the classroom. First, you have Mr. Petrizzi's best friends. These students actually pay attention to the lectures, answer questions, and laugh at his jokes. Next, you have the gamers. These people look like they're paying attention, but if you ask them what we learned in class, they'll just say, "Sorry, I was grinding Clash Royale." Finally, we have the two people in the corner of the room who just can't shut up. Half of the time they pretend to know what's going on, and the other half, they just have no clue what's happening. Chapter 6. Differential Equations and Mathematical Modeling. Here, you get to look at tiny lines on a graph called a slope field and think, yeah, I know exactly what function this looks like. You'll learn how to integrate funky functions like this one. I'm just kidding. You'll probably only be able to integrate functions like these. When you're done with this unit, U substitution will be your best friend, while integration by parts is like that spider in your house that only shows up once a week. You'll also never forget to put plus C at the end of an indefinite integral ever again, because your test grade after you forgot to do it the first time will always haunt you in your sleep. Chapter 7. Applications of definite integrals. Chapter 7 is the real deal. You'll be finding areas between curves, lengths of curves, and volumes by rotating functions around lines. The worst part about this unit is that you get instantly humbled by Mr. Petrizzi whenever you have to do notes. This guy is out here drawing exquisite 3D graphs, while you're still struggling to draw a perfect circle. Chapter 8. Sequences, L'Hopital's rule, and improper integrals. Just kidding, we do sequences in the next unit. L'Hopital's rule is the ultimate cheat code for solving limits when you have no idea what to do. Does your limit end up looking something like this? Well, then L'Hopital's got your back. Improper integrals are basically definite integrals, but this time you're finding the area until infinity instead of 5. You'll be seeing Gabriel's horn, which is some magical horn that has infinite surface area but a definite volume. Yeah, I don't get it either. Chapter 9. Infinite Series. Chapter 9 is the thickest unit of the year, and it's also the most important unit a BC Calc student must know because this is literally all over the AP test. By the end of this unit, you'll have sweet, happy dreams of Taylor S. Not the singer, but the series, and the bajillion convergence tests you need to memorize. And always remember, just like the convergence tests, your parents can love you absolutely or conditionally. Chapter 10. Parametric, vector, and polar functions. Remember when you learned about this in pre-calculus? Yeah, neither do I. But you better pay attention because the second FRQ question will always be from this unit. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, wait, but in the past few years, the second question has never been about polar. Well, don't worry, because the year that the second question is about polar is going to be your year. And if you ever need help with finding the area between polar curves, just look at my hairline. As the AP test gets closer and closer, you start to feel nervous. You may think, what if I'm the reason why Mr. Petrizzi doesn't get all 5s from his students? If you need a confidence booster, just remember, the AP test, it's trivial. And by the end of the year, after learning some of the most confusing topics, tackling the most difficult problems, and conquering the AP test, there's still one thing you can't fully grasp: whether Mr. Petrizzi is being serious or not.